for example, I don't know about how you do your deals, but I was at Grant Cardone's office and he was telling me that anyone who invests with him, they don't see their money. They can pull it out for like 10 years, right? So you really have to have a long-term time preference. You can't be freaking out about the charts every single day. So once you develop that long-term time preference and you establish like what that solvable problem is, you kind of like just let go of the stress of the volatility because crypto is really volatile right now and the regulation is coming, but I think that we're getting really, really close and it's going to be really good. So,
all right, guys, welcome to another episode of The Report. Today, we are back in the studio here in San Diego, and we got a very special guest who actually met recently at a local meetup that I spoke out at the Garage Collective here in San Diego. But he invests in self-storage facilities as a limited partner. He's in the brick and mortar marketing business. I got none other than Doug James. Doug, welcome to the show, my man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Rich.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. And you're actually local here in Lida, Italy. You're a neighbor of mine. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do in the space today?
Yeah, man. So I'm basically in the marketing and sales space, dabble in the real estate space as well and crypto. This whole entrepreneur journey for me started when I was in the Navy. So I was in the Navy for 10 years as a hospital corpsman, deployed all over the world, got to see and do amazing stuff. And it wasn't until early 2015 I was on a deployment to Papua New Guinea, Fiji, and the Philippines. We were literally building schools for kids and building like clinics and stuff. And that was probably some of the best work I've ever done, like as a human being. So after that deployment, I realized like I'd done all I could do in the Navy. I wanted to do something else, and working with kids, giving back to people in need and organizations, like that was really important to me. So, I was like, you know what, I need to figure out how to make an income outside the Navy. So I ended up finding digital marketing, got into the brick and mortar lead generation space, got a bunch of clients. And, within a few months, I was already making my monthly income that I make, in a year in the Navy. I was making that in a month, right? So it happened pretty quick. But, lead generation has always been my bread and butter. And through that process, I got into the coaching space because, people are like, how do you make money? Like, well, teach me how to do that. So it's like, so I ended up creating a coaching business, and it all started with a really high-ranking individual that was in the Navy came up to me, and he said, HM1, which is my rank, HM1. He's like, hey, H1, I'm getting out the Navy next month. I'm 45 years old. I've been in the Navy for 25 years. Can you teach me how you're making money outside the Navy? So naturally, as an entrepreneur, I created a coaching program, and it's grown into a $30 million a year business to now. So
I'm a big fan of paying into coaching because it just shortcuts your path from point A to point B. I'm currently in 3 masterminds myself as a member, and all of those have been very, very beneficial in my growth progress. One, it shortcuts your path, but number 2, it prevents you from making any big mistakes. And so if you can pay someone X amount of money to help you, figure out how to make 10X in just 1 year, that is a huge ROI, often a much bigger ROI than, going to a 4-year university and paying upwards of $250,000, $300,000 these days. So tell me a little bit about the brick and mortar lead gen. How exactly does that work? How do you make money generating leads in that space?
Yeah, basically it just starts with a distressed business owner. They're like, hey, we need more customers, we need more patients, right? In business, if you don't have a consistent pipeline of new customers or clients, trying to work with you, or patients for your clinic trying to work with you, you run the risk of going out of business and trying to make payroll, right? This building has to get paid for, right? Mm-hmm. So I realized that strategy early on, right? That's how I'm here. So basically the way it works is, I'll start to approach a prospect, and they'll tell me their goals, how they're getting customers right now. That could be through referrals, word of mouth. Maybe they're running Facebook ads. Maybe they're not running Facebook ads or Google ads. We basically put them through a consultation to figure out how are they generating customers and what's the best path forward to get them new customers into their business. There's really no better strategy that I've seen than to leverage just behavioral data. I mean, Facebook and Google and YouTube know more about you than you may know about yourself. If you watch cats all day, you're going to see videos of cats. If you and I start talking about the election, we're going to start seeing stuff about the election, right? It's all programmed through our phones. So there's a way to leverage that data and information to basically pull people from the internet to your ads and make them go into a funnel to convert into a sale eventually, right? So that's basically the process that we go through. That includes building assets, web funnels, text message, email marketing, things of that such to set up the funnel. But I love paid ads because, I know you do a lot of organic stuff. I see you post heavily on Instagram. me posting on Instagram and stuff, the organic stuff has been newer for me because I've always been a paid ads guy. I can put $1 into an ad today and, same day, 4, 5, $10 comes out almost the same day. Right. So that's why it's such an effective strategy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I like both. I mean, we do mostly organic. We're going to start doing a little bit of paid stuff just to try to touch a little bit different audience. But it's interesting what you said. So how much can you make, soliciting for lead gen in this brick and mortar space?
Yeah, you can make a lot. So, I was just, for example, in my first 6 months, I was making 50 grand a month, right? Which is basically my base salary in the Navy. One of my top students makes 250 grand a month, basically from going through exactly what I do, just teaching them how to do it, right? The average person that we work with that enrolls into our premium coaching basically makes somewhere between 10 to 15 grand in their first 6 months. So yeah, it can, and it's basically pretty much passive. I call it semi-passive because there's obviously some work you have to do, but like any business, you want to set up the foundation of employees and payroll and systems and processes so to basically take you out of that operation so the business is running without your involvement. That's one of the key things that I think I focused on in the last 3 years is how do I get this cash coming in but take me out of it? And the faster I was able to do that and reinvesting the money that I was receiving back into the business and to invest into talent, was able to achieve that. And I'm so glad I did, because now I have my time back. I can be with my family and I could start other ventures like real estate, crypto, and all these other things that I'm involved in, right? So I got to say that's a key benefit.
So if you want to generate $50,000 a month gross, what kind of team is required for that? Or is that something that you could do as a one-man show?
For me, I was at $50K a month with just 2 VAs.
Okay.
The main thing that I was focusing on was revenue generating activities. How do I get cash in? And number one way to do that is to just get more calls on the calendar. Like if I can just spend more money on ads and traffic, book appointments, and just talk to people to close over the phone, then great. That's what I need to focus on. My 2 VAs basically at the time focused on just fulfillment, setting up the funnel, setting up the ad campaigns. And these weren't VAs from like overseas. These were US based, competent people. Not saying people overseas are not competent. There's some amazing talent you can get from like the Philippines. We have a huge Philippine VA team right now. They're amazing people. But when I started out, to hit the level of competence required to drive traffic and conversions and data and analytically, US based was kind of the way I went when I first started.
Interesting, man. So in addition to this, you partner with fund managers to solicit and gather accredited investors. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, man. So right now, the number one thing that I'm focusing on is, I know marketing, I know sales, I know how online traffic works. Real estate has been one of the things that's been most intriguing to me recently, because once you become, an 7, 8 figure earner, in California, you got taxes, right? So we got to pay tax. So one of the ways that I've been basically trying to mitigate that as much as possible, getting into real estate. So I invested in real estate, but I also realized, you know what? I'm really good at marketing sales, and I've created all these relationships with these real estate investors, with these real estate funds. So basically that kind of got me into the doorway of generating leads for fund managers. And the way it works basically is we still leverage the same principles of behavioral data and online traffic. And we just set up campaigns online to drive traffic to a webinar funnel where, the fund manager could be a deal that they're putting together, a new development in Arizona or California somewhere, and they're trying to raise $10 million, right? It doesn't matter where it's at or what the total is, but we basically just drive traffic there and optimize for webinar conversions. And based off of our experience and the data that we have and the resources we have, we can target specifically those ads to people that have a high probability of being an accredited investor, right? Which is, $1 million net worth or 200 grand a month, right? Roughly. So
200 grand a year.
200 grand a year, thanks. Just starting out.
No, you're okay.
Estate. But yeah, so we put the campaigns out to those guys, and they watch the presentation. And it's just a numbers game. If you can get 1,000 people to sign up for the webinar at, let's say, $30 a pop, right? If you do the math on that, it's about $30,000 in ad spend, right? And if, let's say 50% of those people show up, that's 500 people on a webinar that cost you 30 grand, right? 500 people show up to the webinar. Let's just say 10% of them book a call with your team to invest into the fund, right? Now you're talking to 50 people, right? Let's say your sales team has a 20% closing rate, right? So that's 10 new investors acquired for $30,000, and let's say the average person invests, your minimum's 100 grand. Well, cool. Then that's
$1 million.
$1 million right there with 30 grand invested.
Yeah.
So I had to keep track of all the numbers, but that's basically what the conversion rates looks like through a webinar, book a call to action funnel.
Very, very interesting. So I'd imagine you'd have to do a 506C because you're marketing, soliciting for investors. And I'd imagine there's sponsors out there that are looking for investor capital. So I can see that being a lucrative thing for you. Right now, we have like more investor capital than we know what to do with. Mm-hmm. It's our bottleneck is finding good deals to buy.
Yeah.
But right now we're getting anywhere from 5 to 10 like new investors call or go to our website and book a call, just organically through social media or podcasts, or they heard me on another podcast.
Yeah.
But right now we need help finding deals. So that's our bottleneck currently. Yeah. But maybe there will be another day where that shifts, and then I'll hit you up. So we'll see. But all that to say, man, is that's very cool what you're doing. And tell me a little bit about the self-storage stuff. You're investing as a limited partner into self-storage. Who are you investing with?
Yeah, so AJ Osborne.
Okay.
He's out of Boise.
I know of AJ, man. I got to get him on the show sometime. I've never actually like physically met him in person.
Yeah.
But I know of him.
Yeah, really cool guy. I've actually never met him in person either at this point. That'll probably change very soon. No Bigger Pockets is coming up, and he's probably going to be there. And one of the deals that I'm in with AJ is he's got a brand new development out in Surprise, Arizona. It's about 160,000 square foot storage deal, but Surprise is cool. It's like a really progressive area. I think Puma is moving their whole organization there from the U.S. Massive malls, apartment buildings are going up in that area. So it's a really progressive area. And I really like self-storage because, first of all, like multifamily and apartment buildings, that's all great. The boutique hotel stuff that you do is all amazing. People always need a place to live. Mm-hmm. I believe in that. I'm probably going to talk to you at some point about your boutique hotels. But self-storage is really good because people always want to hoard and keep their stuff, like they always have overflow, and unfortunately the economy, the way it's going, are we in a recession? Or are we not? Or, people are losing their homes, right? They're going upside down on their mortgages, losing their jobs. Unfortunately that stuff happens, but people still need a place to put their stuff. So their $1,500, $2,000 a month rent, whatever that is, maybe they can't afford that, but they can afford $80 to $100 for a storage unit to at least keep their stuff in a safe place, right? So self-storage is I think a really prime opportunity, and that's what really caught my attention. I saw what AJ was doing, and I thought it was a really great investment opportunity. So I'm in some other syndications and developments with him as well.
Yeah, I always say, multifamily and self-storage is evergreen, right? Mm-hmm. It can't be Kodak. It can't be BlackBerry. There's a lot of technologies that boom, and then they bust 5-10 years down the road because technology is just moving and evolving quicker and quicker. But with that, there's two things in life that will never be replaced, at least while we're around. Mm-hmm. Elon Musk might think of something on the Mars rover or something like that down the road. But until that happens, I believe it's like, a place for people to sleep and a place for people to store their belongings. Yeah. That's never going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
What are some of these other projects that you're investing with? Learning to become a successful real estate investor can take a lot of time and dedication, which some people just don't have. If you're one of these individuals, this doesn't mean you can't invest in real estate. My company, Summers Capital, is buying a bunch of boutique hotels right now, and you can invest with us in these deals without having to do any of the work. Our team sources the deals, we secure the lending, we take care of all the renovations, and we even handle all the day-to-day operations with our in-house management company, making it truly hands-off and passive for our investors. If you want to learn more to see if we can help you, go to summerscapital.com/invest to book a call with our team. Again, that's summerscapital.com/invest. Now back to the show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really into crypto, right? If we were transitioning from the real estate stuff. So basically, I'm part owner in a crypto publishing company, right? So what we are doing with that publishing company is helping influencers, even celebrities or authors or even fund managers in real estate. We have one deal we're working with right now, basically get onto the blockchain, because blockchain and Web3, what it offers is an immutable ledger for you and I to transact and send each other funds and assets, and it's fully verifiable, immutable on the blockchain, right? We don't have to go to a third-party bank or anything like that, or even an attorney. We could just do it us together on the blockchain, and it's documented, right? There's definitely some things being tweaked in the process, especially on the legal side, because crypto right now is not fully regulated, right? The U.S. government is going through the process of getting it regulated, but regulation is going to come, and it's going to be really good because it's basically going to give us more of a guideline on how to behave and how to interact with crypto and blockchain, right? So we've kind of been at the forefront of this technology and got some things set up in the Cayman Islands, because Cayman Islands is recognized as a verified, trusted guidelines for crypto, right? And the U.S. falls underneath that, right? So basically, what we're doing is we're taking all these, entrepreneurs, authors, getting them on the blockchain. One of the deals that I'm really excited about is one fund is Palladium. They're starting the minimum, I think, is 10 million that they're doing, but it's going to be 2,000 NFTs, and investors can just buy the NFT and participate in that project. And what Palladium does, it builds resorts and airstrips for, decamillionaires and billionaires, at their private resorts. So it's going to be a really good opportunity. We're also working with Chris Voss, the FBI negotiator. His events and coaching, we're basically just offering to his consumers an opportunity to participate in his events and coaching via just buying one of the NFTs, right?
What exactly is an NFT?
Yeah, good question. So it stands for non-fungible token, meaning it's non-fungible. Like a dollar's fungible. Like you can give me $1, here's 4 quarters, right? The NFT, it's one for one. It represents something, right? It's a digital form representation of a purchase. It's kind of like a receipt, So if you were to buy my NFT, I might give you, a multifamily home in Ohio, right? It basically just represents a purchase. And we're seeing a lot of people use NFTs. Like Gary Vaynerchuk owns the first restaurant in New York. I think it's called Three Fish or Bonefish. I forget the name of it. But basically, in order to go there and eat, you buy one of the NFTs. You have to be a membership holder or a club holder of that NFT, right? So there's a lot of opportunities to get people NFTs, and you can actually earn royalties off NFTs as well. So let's say you're having a membership club and, it's an event that you put on once per year, right? And there's only ever going to be like 250 seats ever sold for this event that you put on every single year, right? But you have an audience of like 1 million people, right? And all 1 million people want to come to this event that you put on every single year. Why? Because you're doing teaching and coaching, or you're giving away assets and vehicles, or your people are getting firsthand exclusive opportunities to your investment deals, and you have LeBron James coming to speak, and you have all these other, maybe Elon Musk shows up, right? It's the place people want to be. And there's only 250 tickets. Let's say you start to sell them for $1,000 a piece. You sell out in 10 minutes. Well, there's only 250 tickets, right? So what do you think the remaining 999,000 people are going to want to do? They're going to compete and bid to buy that ticket. And basically what you sold for $1,000 could go for $100,000.
Scarcity creates demand.
Exactly, right? So there's ways to earn royalty, and you can actually earn royalties off that as well. Every time that ticket is flipped to someone else, you can get 2.5% to 5% back. So it creates a unique opportunity with there as well. And a lot of people are using the membership side of it. Right now, that's one of the things we're leveraging it for, but also it's really intriguing seeing what people are doing in real estate and the funds, getting them on the blockchain too. That's like probably the 2 main areas that we're working on right now.
That is interesting. I did have a call last year, and it was with this fund to where they sold some sort of coin or whatever. It was some sort of cryptocurrency. But that currency would transition into real assets that they would acquire in their fund. And at the time, they were picking up like short-term rental portfolios and providing, cash flow returns and that sort of thing. I didn't have too much of an in-depth conversation with them, but that was kind of the basis of how they operated. So I thought that was unique. Now, this fund that you're alluding to, tell me a little bit about how exactly you guys are positioning this fund to acquire real estate, and what kind of real estate are you guys going after? Yeah,
you talking about Palladium?
Palladium, rather, yes.
Yeah, basically, like I said earlier, we're going after accredited investors that are, they got cash that they're looking to distribute, and all they're going to do is set up an online, wallet through Web3, right? They're going to hook up their bank account. They're going to wire over USD to their Web3 wallet. You can use something like MetaMask, right?
What's MetaMask?
MetaMask is basically a decentralized crypto wallet. Anybody can sign up for one. And what I really like about the decentralized world, we were talking about like DeFi a little bit earlier. So if you start with your bank account, like most of us, we have a Chase account, Bank of America, or one of these big banks, right? For me to send you money, I have to go send you a wire. If I want to send you $1 million, I got to wire it. It's probably going to take a week. Then the bank's going to be like, "Hey, why are you sending this money? Like, who do you know this guy?" Right? All this paperwork could take a week. With crypto and NFTs, like you and I could transact in less than 10 seconds. Nobody even knows about it, right? So these investors or anyone for that matter, all you would need to do is set up a decentralized wallet using MetaMask. But in order to get your money onto blockchain right now, your USD, you have to sign up through a centralized exchange. And the number one exchange in the US, which is a publicly traded company, is Coinbase, right? So you would go to coinbase.com, create an account, connect your bank account to it. You would basically wire your USD to Coinbase for US dollars. And then from Coinbase, you would switch it into a crypto, which is, I would probably switch it into USDC, which is pegged to $1. So one USDC equals $1, right? And then you just basically send your crypto from Coinbase over to your MetaMask wallet. Now you're decentralized, right? You control the keys to that wallet. When your money was on Coinbase, you didn't actually own your money. Coinbase owned your money, right? Just like technically your money that's in the bank, you don't own your money. The bank owns your money, right? Once you move your bank over to a decentralized wallet that you have the keys to, you own all of your assets, right? So we're getting investors basically to go walk through this process, and the NFT would be held on a decentralized app where they can basically connect their wallet to. It's like an online app or online website where they connect their wallet, they transact to purchase the NFT. Let's say it's $1 million. They purchase the NFT for $1 million and it goes into their wallet. So now the NFT that they have that lives on the blockchain represents their purchase. It's the receipt of whatever their asset is. It's got all the details on there. And then anybody could see that. Like I can go look into your wallet basically or on your blockchain and see all of your assets and everything that you own. So there's like no question. That's the only thing about it. It's kind of hard to, once you're doxxed and people know what your wallet is, they can see all your transactions that you do. But that's part of the beauty of transparency with blockchain too. So it's kind of like almost a double-edged sword depending on how you look at it. So
where do you see the future going with digital currency?
I think it's, we're already seeing it right now, but I think if you go to Starbucks or go pump gas, like you're going to be transacting in some kind of currency, Bitcoin or USDC or something at some point, and we're already seeing it. Disneyland has a crypto program they're rolling out. Starbucks they have a new rewards program where you get NFTs, and based off how many NFTs you get or which ones you get, you get free coffee. Nike's doing one. One of the biggest players in the space right now is Polygon. Polygon's a top 10 crypto asset. I think
is their symbol Matic?
Yeah, Matic is their currency. I think they're about a 4 or 5 billion market cap currently from when we're doing this podcast. But they're taking all the big dogs, man. They're taking Disney, Nike, they're taking Starbucks, some of these multi-billion-dollar brands, and just getting them onto the blockchain. And I really do think in the next 5 to 10 years, I mean, everyone's going to be walking around transactioning daily, I think, in crypto, versus USD. And if we take a look at what's going on in the economy with the US dollar right now, you're losing your spending power with inflation, right? That's why people get into real estate, right? To hedge against inflation. And you got stuff going on right now in the economy with basically Saudi Arabia or these other countries and Russia not, using dollar as their standard, right? They're going to be using the Chinese yuan, right? I think some of that stuff is still up in the air. But if you look at every single currency in history, it takes about 100 years, 30 to 100 years before their currency goes to zero. And this is not fear-mongering for our US dollar. This takes a really long time to do. It's like a 30-year transition period for when things start to go south. And it's going to have to be replaced by something. I don't have a crystal ball, but I think cryptocurrencies, because of its disruptive technology with blockchain, it seems like it's the best bet. If you look at Bitcoin against your US dollar has gone up 1,000-fold. Your purchasing power of Bitcoin. So, but the reason why people get upset with Bitcoin, because it's volatile. They might have bought when Bitcoin was 60 grand. Now the price tanked 50%. They're like, oh crap, this is a scam. Like I lost half my buying power in 6 months. I thought this was supposed to be a store of value. Well, it's like with any asset, there's dribs and ebbs and flows of the asset. It goes up and down. Just like in real estate, there's a correction every 4 or so years. Something happens. So it's all volatile, but I think eventually it's going to basically take over and be the number one currency.
So I put a lot of my money into real estate. Obviously, I love that it's hard assets. You can look at, feel it, touch it. Real people go to stay at these properties, and they're never going to go to zero. But with some of these cryptocurrencies and these coins, some of them can go to zero.
Yeah.
How do you determine, or how do you hedge your risk in terms of like selecting the right ones?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So if you go to a website called coinmarketcap.com, I believe it's a .com, just Google coin market cap. It's going to basically give you all of the cryptocurrencies that exist, all the ones that are verified. CMC is the most trusted platform to kind of track all the cryptocurrencies, right? The top 10 coins that you're going to find on there, the number one obviously is Bitcoin, which is sitting around a $500 billion market cap roughly from shooting this. And I think Ethereum's at like 250 billion currently. The whole market cap for crypto is only like 1.2 trillion, which is crazy if you think about it, because like gold, for example, is 12 trillion. So let's say all that liquidity goes right into crypto. That's $12 trillion. That's going to basically 12x cryptocurrency market, right? Just something to think about. But in order to determine like the best one, the best thing to do if you're looking for like a safe haven, like kind of like a hard asset like real estate, the best thing that you could do is to invest in like the top two. I would probably say Bitcoin number one because it's the top dog. It's got the most liquidity. It's not as volatile as the rest of the markets. And it really is seen like a store of value, right? And the next one after that is Ethereum. Ethereum is an application token, right? So people are using Ethereum to build technology right now, right? It's got a ton of liquidity, but it also has a little bit more volatility to the upside and to the downside. So I would probably say if you're looking for like a hard asset that's kind of like equivalent to real estate, that's like the top two I would look at. But most of the money isn't made in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Most of the money is made in like the small gems, the small teams, the small projects.
The ones you could pick up for a few pennies a share.
Exactly.
A coin.
Yeah. You know, they might be freaking a tenth of a penny or a thousandth of a penny, right? Now,
so what do you suggest there strategy-wise? Because I know for me, I personally own some Ethereum and some Bitcoin, but for me, I'm like, you know what? It's like gambling money to me. If I lose it, I'm like, whatever. But what's the strategy there if you're going to go pick up a bunch of, smaller price point coins and just take some flyers on them? Would you say just throw your money across like 10 or 15 of them, and if one of them hits, then it's going to pay you a 1,000x or whatever it is? Hey guys, real quick, I hope that you're finding value in this show. If you could do me a huge favor and drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or whichever platform you're listening on, it would mean the world to me. Also, if you know of anyone that would potentially benefit from this podcast, feel free to share it with them so we can help more people build wealth through real estate investing. Now back to the show.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically the strategy I think most people used in the last couple of years with crypto. You know, they have this term called degen, like degenerative gambling. Like it's just gambling, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people got into crypto thinking they were going to be millionaires overnight, and a lot of them did. A lot of people did. I went to Bitcoin Miami last year, and I was talking to these guys, and they're like, "Yeah, I bought this coin. I put $1,000 in, and it, 10,000x overnight. Now I'm a millionaire." It's like, it doesn't seem common, but in my world, when you're in the crypto space, like that happened to a lot of people. But unfortunately, on the other side of that, people put their life savings in. They put in more that they could lose, and they lost it, right? Because they weren't educated. So what I would just say, if you're looking to get into any project, I would really decide what is it that you're interested in? What technology intrigues you today? A lot of things are going on. We have AI, right? We have finance, right? We have insurance. There's all these different niches that you can get into. The marketing, right? What really interests you? And go find a team that's building and innovating in that space on the blockchain. That's where I would start to look, because if you understand an industry, if you understand real estate, like you understand real estate, go find companies or technology and teams that are building to innovate in that space onto the blockchain. Because if our macro belief that blockchain is going to be here to stay and it's not going anywhere and it's probably only going to go up in value and the cryptos associated, then the best thing you could do is find an industry that you're in right now, go find a team that's building in that space, right? So that's why, for me, for example, I'm in marketing and in sales, right? And I work with a lot of coaches and influencers, right? And people that want leads or customers, right? So the project that I'm involved in, it's called the Guard Foundation. This is not a shameless plug, I'm just sharing, but it's called the Guard Foundation. But basically, we're working with other coaches and influencers and funds to get onto the blockchain, right? And the whole point of that is to give them the opportunity to get onto the blockchain, and it allows me to basically flex like what I'm good at, right? So whatever it is that you're good at, figure out which team is doing that, and you want to study the team. Like you'll look into these currencies, and they might be sub $10 million market cap, like less than 10 million bucks or less than $1 million in there. But they just acquired the guy that created the facial technology that exists in all the airports that knows who you are right when you walk in, Why did they take him on? Well, they must be innovating something, maybe in case KYC.
What's KYC?
Know your customer, right? So in any investment or anything that you do, the best thing to protect yourself per SEC, especially if you have a security, right? You want to know your customer, and that's them submitting like their passport or their driver's license or something like that. But there's ways to verify the process. A lot of it has been like done manually, right? But there's new technology that can basically instantly verify you on your ID, and you just KYC on your phone, and your iPhone has a camera in it, right? And it instantly detects that you're who you are based off of the passport that you're submitting, right? So you never know these little small cap currencies, like who they're acquiring, right? So looking at the team, looking at their roadmap, looking at where they're going is really important. So that's what I would say to answer your initial question on how to pick these coins, is just look at the team. What are they innovating? Are they building something? Do you believe in it? Do you see the projection, see the growth? And this is another piece of important advice that I learned from my friend Nick. He's my partner in the company. You have to have a solvable problem if you're investing. Because if you don't have a solvable problem, like what's the point? So, to me, the solvable problem is, what's the number that you need to hit so that you don't have to do anything anymore? Like the kids are taken care of, financially you're good, the house is good, you got the cars, you have the properties, you have all that. What is that number eventually, right? And that number is different for everyone. It could be $10 million, it could be $20 million, $100 million. But when you're investing in a crypto or any assets, it's best to have a long-term time preference, right? Because we know the markets are going to be volatile in the short term, right? So like, for example, I don't know about how you do your deals, but I was at Grant Cardone's office, and he was telling me that anyone who invests with him, they don't see their money, they can pull it out for like 10 years, right? So you really have to have a long-term time preference. You can't be freaking out about the charts every single day. So once you develop that long-term time preference and you establish like what that solvable problem is, you kind of like just let go of the stress of the volatility, because crypto is really volatile right now, and the regulation is coming, but I think that we're getting really, really close, and it's going to be really good. So,
and I think that's why like real estate in general is not super volatile, such as paper assets, stock market, crypto, because you can't just go on your app or on your phone and push a button and sell a bunch of shares when there's any sort of bad news in the marketplace. But the real estate, depending on what kind of asset you have, it could take 3-6 months to sell it.
Yeah.
And so because of that, it's a lot less liquid. And I think like, let's COVID, for example, right? Stock market crashed 50%, but real estate was relatively untouched because it takes a long time to sell these assets. So
yeah,
it's an interesting thing. I think Warren Buffett said something about, what did he say? He has some sort of quote baked in there about how you should treat your stock portfolio the same way you would treat, any sort of long-term investment.
Yeah.
And people that do that typically win in the long run.
Yeah.
But I want to transition here. So I know you were a veteran, and I know that you're helping active duty folks transition to full-time entrepreneurs when they get out of the service. Talk a little bit about that.
The veterans has always been close to my heart because I was one, right? Served 10 years in the Navy. I was a hospital corpsman, trained with the Marines basically for war. Fortunately, I didn't see any live combat. I think when I was a young buck, 23-year-old, that's what I wanted, but I didn't get the
orders. What
orders.
branch were you in?
I was in the Navy.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in the Navy, so trained with the Marines. And so going through that process, it's an interesting story because, we talk about how I'm marketing and sales today. Well, and I'll get into working with veterans, but it's interesting because the whole time I was in the Navy, anything that I ever wanted to do or achieve was all marketing and sales. For example, back in 2011, my chief, my supervisor, basically, he put me up for Sailor of the Year. Sailor of the Year or Service Member of the Year is one of the most prestigious awards that you can be recognized for. It's like being nominated for like an Oscar if you're, in the movies, right? Mm-hmm. It's a big deal. So I went up for this award and I ended up winning it, winning Sailor of the Year in Bethesda, Maryland back in 2010 or 11, I forget the year. But in order for me to do that, I had to basically prove to a board of really high-ranking individuals why my package and my accolades was more deserving than everyone else, because I went up, but there was also like 7 other nominees, right? And when you go up for these boards, like you're standing in a hallway and there's a room and you're at attention, you have to go in there, you have to answer all their questions, your demeanor, how you answer the question. They look at all these things, your body language, your movements. You can kind of call it like a pony show in a sense, but what's important is what's on the paper. Because on the paper, I had like 1,000 hours of volunteer service. I had my associate's degree. I had all this time and commitment and all these events and stuff that I put on. And that was all marketing and sales. You go into the room, right? So it's just like any job or corporate or anything that you do. It is, everything's marketing. So everything is a sell, right? And what a lot of veterans don't understand is their whole career was basically a charade of you doing marketing yourself to other people to close the deal, right? So for veterans, I went through that process. I got out the Navy, and you go through a process of it's called TAPS, basically, that you go through like a few weeks class, and they teach you how to fill out your resume, apply for a job, create a LinkedIn profile, some of the basics with social media. And basically, you go through this whole process, and there's no guarantee of a high-paying job or a high-paying career. They do have this transition program. It's like 40% successful. So most veterans basically get out and they don't have stuff lined up on the outside. And they wait till the last minute. Just like the Master Chief that was in for 25 years, he came up to me. He was like, crap, I'm going to have to go back to school and sit in a classroom with a bunch of 19-year-olds. So he came to me. He was like, hey, teach me how to do what you do. And then I helped him. I think after a few months, he was already making 5 figures. So yeah, I think that process should be a lot better than what it is. It's not perfect. It helps, but it's not perfect. And just over the years, I've had so many veterans that have come to me. We've ran traffic. I've held events, and my goal right now is to help at least 1 million veterans transition from active duty to entrepreneur on creating a financial stability outside the military. And one of the events that I put together, I've been doing that now for basically ever since I started, for almost 8 years. But I put on an event called Military Wealth Summit just last month, and Josh, our buddy that had was it Cars Collective, Josh Villarreal, he held that event, and he was actually at Military Wealth Summit because he was a veteran himself.
Right,
he was in the Navy. I had that event. I think we had 60 people in person. We had 250 online, so it was over 300 people total. Robert Kiyosaki spoke. Jason Redman spoke. Jason Redman was actually a Navy SEAL that survived a gunshot wound to the face.
Wow.
So I brought all these people together, and I brought all the people in attendance. All 300 plus people were all veterans or active duty military, and it was all about helping them transition to understand, like, hey, there is more opportunity outside the military. There's this whole entrepreneur space. There's this digital economy, right? And I basically showed them the tools and resources that I use to create income. And we had Robert Kiyosaki speak. He talked about financial literacy. He wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. You got it right over here. I saw it right when I walked in your office.
Yeah.
And he taught about the GDP, and I thought it was a super powerful event. And what really confirmed that for me is one of my attendees basically wrote me a handwritten letter and told me, hey, 2 weeks ago I was thinking about killing myself, and I saw your ad for this event. I'm here now. Now I have new purpose.
That's powerful, man.
And I was like, wow. So that wasn't the first time that somebody's told me something like that, but it just confirms, like, we're here to make money. We're here to have impact, make money and take care of our families, do all this stuff. But the people that we're impacting, like, these are real lives that we're changing, you through everything that you have going on and as well. So you can't forget that, every dollar that you generate, like, it really does change someone's life in some way, shape, or form. So I talk a lot about legacy. I talk about how we're not getting out of this thing alive. I think you have something on your wall I read earlier, I can die today, right? You have all these quotes. It's so true, man. I think about that. Tomorrow's no guarantee. And I have 2 little girls, and when I'm gone, I want them to carry the legacy, or at least my name will carry on to mean something. I want them to be set up and have something that supports them, as they grow as adults and impact the world. So, through my programs and through my coaching, I always think of giving back, and I always think of, what's going to be left when I'm gone. So 2 organizations that I'm really a part of is, one of them is called Pencils of Promise. So every 25 grand builds a school in Mexico for kids. All right. So we built, I think, 7 or 8 schools now. And another one is called RIP Medical. So every dollar we raise with them, it eradicates $10 in military medical veteran debt. And the deal with that one is the veterans, they serve their country for 10, 20, 30 years. They get banged up. I got banged up too, my knees and back and stuff. And unfortunately, when they're going through this medical evaluation to determine what level of benefits they get after the military via, medical care or financial, most of them don't get the rating that's appropriate because the system kind of works against them because the government, I don't want to get controversial, but they're trying to protect their nest egg, So when these veterans go through this process, you got to really understand how that process works. And you have to almost like get a coach. I got a coach to walk me through the process of getting medically evaluated because I have like genuine issues that are going on. So I end up getting 100% disability. It may not look like it. I'm not like crazy or anything, but I did see and experience things that, are unseen wounds like PTSD. This stuff exists.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so if I can do anything for veterans is just help them get financial stability outside the military, put on the events, give them something to look forward to. If I could just impact one person, I did my job. I did that at that one event. So, I mean, I'm just going to keep going, and that's what keeps me going every day.
Dude, I love that, man. Keep crushing it. Keep giving back, helping these veterans. I love everything you're doing. I'm a fan, and appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah, of course. Listeners, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.